Hey everyone, I want to talk all about my experiences with living with chronic OCD and severe anxiety, sensory motor, body dysmorphia, fears of being overweight. So a little bit of harm OCD hit head on stuff I've been talking about recently. There's things I struggle with a little bit that I never really talked about too much because they weren't primary themes for me. My main themes were all really sensation-based, GAD, fear being stuck forever. And I want to talk about what, really is necessary for the day-to-day with living with it and why these type of videos are so important from just a realness perspective and how it felt every day getting up and then moving throughout the day. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below, as I always say. Say the same thing on every video. I love going and communicating with the OCD community. It's actually one of my favorite things. I love talking to all of you all around the world. One day I would love to do a meetup and just have all these people come here. We can all talk and joke around because I think it really does help in many ways. And if you're interested in our coaching or webinar services, please email us at phil@ocdrecovery.com and we'll get back to you in a timely fashion. Just pour myself a nice coffee. In the traveling mug, of all things. So what's it like to have chronic OCD all day long, 24/7? You probably didn't sleep good. You haven't slept good in a while. You're waking up. You have chronic panic, rumination all day long. You instantly start analyzing. You instantly start trying to break down your fears in the morning. So you're jumping in a compulsion right off the bat, outside the automatic rumination. You're dreading the day. You're snoozing the alarm clock. You're napping throughout the day many times. You're counting down the time before you go home from work, if you're even going to work. You're not exercising. You're not eating well. You're skipping meals or eating highly palatable sugary foods. Not inherently bad, but you usually tip over into the unbalanced side. You're smoking more cigarettes. You're smoking more weed. You're drinking more. You're doing more drugs. If you're going down that route, you're compulsively watching pornography. You're playing video games all day. You're scrolling all day. These are just things, a lot of stuff that I did, not stuff that everyone does, but a lot of stuff. You're distant. You're isolating yourself. You're not going out with friends and family. You're watching YouTube videos all day long. You're compulsively watching recovery YouTube videos all day long. Let's see what else. You're not going on vacation. You're not getting married. You're complaining, venting, and asking for reassurance all day long. Your entire goal from the moment you open your eyes to the moment you go to sleep is, how am I going to survive until the next day? Now, I spend a lot of time making very educational-based videos. Everyone knows that's a member of our Facebook group. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, we're coming up on 20,000 members. It's highly moderated. I go through on a daily basis 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day and answer multiple messages, including large articles that are in there, and it's a really good sense of community. Now, we can't keep up with everything. There is spamming that happens in there because that's the way big forums go, but it's really a quite moderated group. And I was using that compulsively in the beginning as well. So all these different things that I talk about from an educational standpoint, a lot more people were asking me recently, can you open up about your personal journey and what it was like going through, as I like to call, living with it in a day-to-day basis. So the first thing you got to remember is, regardless of the work that you're putting in, the chances of you seeing the fruitions of that work right away are really, really low. You're probably not going to. Months and months and months can go by before you actually start to see any shift in emotional disturbance. And then when you start seeing those shifts, the emotional disturbances, you naturally latch onto that with a fear response. So, and you're afraid of never getting better from that chronic anxiety, the shame and the guilt, the heaviness of the feeling of the police coming to get you, the moral responsibility, the fears of what happens if I die and I'm being judged by God, whatever your value systems are, etc. So, for myself, I wake up in the morning. When I say wake up in the morning, I wasn't really sleeping because I was playing video games until 5, 6, 7 in the morning. And when I would wake up, it would be 1 or 2. My wife would be very mad at me because I didn't go to work. I didn't call out. I just didn't show up. So my wife had to cover for me. I had very childish behaviors. I wasn't taking responsibility for anything in my life. I had gained a bunch of weight, so I was very, very overweight, which made it difficult for her because she wasn't as much attracted to me anymore. And many people don't want to talk about that. It's not saying it's the worst thing ever, but, I went from weighing 175 pounds to 220 pounds, and I was really irritable and angry at times. So she didn't want to have any sort of romantic, erotic, sexual encounters with me because I was being, excuse my language, a fucking asshole. So, and it's important to cover that because many people are afraid to say that. When I woke up, I would lay in bed, I would cry a lot. And then I would go directly to video games and I wouldn't eat. I would skip meals. I would drink Monsters and caffeine drinks compulsively. And I thought about hanging myself and drowning myself. Every time I was on the other side of this wall right here, my bathtub is right there. I'd be sitting in that bathtub thinking, I'm just going to slip underneath this water and I'm going to kill myself and it's going to make things so much better. And then I really had to think about the consequences of taking my own life. Again, I understand cold-heartedly why people take their lives. I was in a mental hospital with severe OCD and didn't want to live for a really long time. So I could see why people get to that decision. But I am always here to tell you, if you are alive, there is hope. We can get better from OCD and other anxiety-based disorders such as PTSD, body dysmorphic disorder, GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, and panic disorder. You can get better from these things. Most people will misunderstand you. I hear stuff on social media all day long about depression is just, nothing you could just push through, and that OCD is for people that are just complainers. And unless you've had OCD, I always like to say, and again, anyone who would experience chronic OCD, and we can't hold that against them, would probably change their mind in a matter of seconds. So we can't do anything against them for not understanding. They don't understand. That's the way it is. My wife doesn't understand. She still doesn't understand. It's the way, it's the way it goes. There's nothing wrong with that. So, I'd wake up and I would kill myself. And like I said, I wasn't working. So when I started to make behavioral shifts and changes, I had to start with the really small things. I had to brush my teeth. I wasn't brushing my teeth at all. My breath smelled like shit. Didn't brush my teeth. I had to stop binging, which was very difficult. It took me a couple of years to get my binging under control because that was an emotional eating habit I had. I had to stop smoking the Juul and vape cartridges. I was smoking multiple of those a day. I had to give my video game system that I always say sat on this little end table right next to me. I gave that to my neighbor's son for free. You're welcome. I remember when I gave it to him, I've told this story. The dad's like, this is a really expensive system. I was like, yeah, just take it. I have a problem. Please, I don't want to die. So I gave it to him. And then that's when the real journey began, which was May 1st of 2020. So a little over 3.5 years ago. And that's when things really got testy. I had to go to work, which was really hard. Every day I showed up to work, I had chronic anxiety, pounding away, panic attacks. I would go to the bathroom and just sit on the toilet and just have a meltdown. I really struggled with adult websites. That was a big thing a lot of younger individuals are suffering with, male and female, but especially young males right now. We have a big problem with social interaction. I watch personally a lot of stuff on pornography addiction, a lot of the stuff of the big channels, and the comments I read are really sad. And I always say, look, porn's not inherently good or bad, but I always say to someone, if porn wasn't as big as a problem as most people believe, then why are people having such a hard time quitting? All you got to do is go to YouTube channels and type in pornography addiction, and you just read comments of people just over and over and over again. I can't stop. I'd rather just, please myself than be with an actual individual, which is problematic. I've never been with someone. I'm in my mid-30s. I'm a virgin still because that. And it's not about an acceptance versus not acceptance. It's just about highlighting how compulsive it can be when you're suffering because it's such a quick dopamine release. That was a big thing for me. I certainly wasn't reading, so I had to start reading the books on the reading list. And once I did, I was compulsive about it because I was used to putting a lot of theoretical schoolwork because I had just graduated, getting my doctorate, and that was just a mess because I had so many belief systems about proving people wrong and needing to be right and people knowing I was smart. I would study just to learn material to prove it to people wrong and stuff. So I had a lot of things to kind of change about myself, which took a really long time. No one sees that part of me. Sorry, my 20% battery just went on. No one sees that part of me. No one sees the compulsive messaging to Rob. No one sees all the burst texting. I call people out on the WhatsApp groups and say, hey, you might want to bring that down. That was me. I used to do that all the time. No one saw all the lying and deceptiveness I did with Erica behind her back, all the hiding of the jewels, all the different sexual behaviors I got in trouble with. No one saw all the drinking I was sneaking. When my wife would have wine, I would go in there and swig a bottle of wine or something like that. Just little things that no one sees. No one saw the extreme depression in my mind. And none of that I didn't need anyone to see. But I was playing a big victim mentality, right? So living with it was a really, really difficult thing for me. And then I started to realize I really don't want to be like this. And I'm not going to get certainty on whether I'm going to feel better or not, but I'm sure as hell going to fucking try. I'm really going to try to get better. And I had to stop playing the victim, which was really hard to do because when you're suffering with OCD, it's very serious. I had to get involved in the community, which I thought was really important. I thought that was a really good thing. And I had to listen to Rob's guidance and Moment's guidance because Moment was there before me, and Sam Williams and Jade and Paul Little, who I love, as it was a great mentor of mine in the beginning stages because he had been working with Rob for a year or so. So I had to really open up, and I had to admit when I didn't know. I had to admit I was wrong. I had to get comfortable with anxiety. I had to get back to channeling my sexual desires and behaviors with pornography and adult websites and sexting and cheating, and channel that back into my relationship and change my habit pattern because it was destroying my relationship, which was all my fault in many ways, if not every single way. I had to get back to work. I had to start waking up in the morning again, and not in 1, 2 in the afternoon. And I haven't played video games in 3.5 years. So I just made this video to give people a little bit of insight about who I am. A lot of people see the educational side of me and the joking side and the tough love side. They don't see the side of me where I was really, really stuck. And many people have been asking me to make videos. That's why I wanted to make this video, and I had wrote it down. Like I said, living with it. So living with it isn't easy. It's going to be there for a while. There is hope. Make sure you're cutting your compulsions. Make sure you're decreasing your avoidance behaviors. Make sure you're reading the books on the reading list. And you're going for it. Because, you know, you only have one life and you only have one thing to do, and that's really to go for it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know. Please share your stories down below. We like to joke around. I always like to tell this story. I said it in one of my Facebook posts the other day. When I was talking about, someone said to me, you know, I love your humor. It makes things easier. So one of the multiple times the police were called to my house at 3 in the morning, my doorbell rang. I had drove into the mountains, and I was going to drive my car off a cliff. This is something I did. I would park my car right at the edge of a cliff, and I would just sit there, and I'm like 60, 70 foot drops. I'm like, just drive off. Just kill yourself, dude. Just do it. Thankfully, I didn't. Now you're stuck with me. So, and my wife, and my dogs, and Rob and Momin are stuck with me. The cops came later, so I was already asleep. So I was back home. Eric was freaking out. Doorbell rang. Cop walks in. We make eye contact, and I'm like, this fucker. This guy goes to my gym. And he looks at me. It was one of these moments where you're like, I was sitting on my stairs. I was like, hey. So they brought Erica downstairs. They wanted to make sure there was no domestic violence dispute going on because obviously part of the police's job. And he's like, what's going on, man? I was like, oh, you know, this and that. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen you at the gym lately. And then I had to explain what was going on, which was a fun thing to do. So there's hope. You can find humor in your suffering. Taking things too seriously, yelling at people for not understanding doesn't do us any good. It makes living with it even harder, and that's important. Thank you again for watching. Please email us at phil@ocdrecovery.com, and we'll get back to you in timely fashion. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day. And there's a lot of hope.